Good morning, class, and welcome back to a special end-of-the-year episode of KPU. Last month, I've hinted that we would be focusing on a group that deserves a good send-off before the inevitable. And if you guys couldn't tell from that, I was referring to none other than I.O.I. That's right, everyone. For this last episode of the year, we will be focusing on the ideal girl group that the whole nation put together. But Nat, why did you choose I.O.I for this episode? Why didn't you choose like iKON or 17 or Big Bang or BTS? Well, my overzealous friend, if you didn't know, I.O.I is a temporary girl group and they're set to disband in January of 2017. It's only appropriate to cover I.O.I in this last episode of KPU for 2016 before they go. It's the least I can do to commemorate their immense success throughout this entire year. So with that, let's get started, shall we? If you remember from the Monsta X episode of K-Pop University, you guys would remember that for these next 3 upcoming episodes of K-Pop University, we will be covering groups that have debuted through survival shows. Monsta X has debuted through a survival show known as No Mercy, and I.O.I has debuted through a survival show known as Produce 101. Produce 101 has set a record in K-show history by having the most trainees to participate in a single survival series, with 101 female trainees. Produce 101 has gathered trainees from all across the K-pop industry, both big and small. Pledis, Jellyfish, Cube, even JYP Entertainment had their trainees to participate in this survival show. Smaller companies also had their trainees take a swing at this competition as well, such as Fantagio Entertainment, MNH, and K-Conic. Now I know what you all may be thinking. How did Mnet manage 101 girl trainees at once? And I completely understand you. Most Mnet shows can't even control 13. No mercy. Not enough rappers, my ass. Well, I'll get to it in due time. I know, even I had a hard time accepting the show at first. For now, let's focus on the members. Now, Produce 101, like most survival series out there, worked off of a ranking system. To debut, the trainees had to be in ranks numbered 11 through 1. So out of the 101 trainees from various entertainment companies, 11 of them debuted to be in I.O.I. We'll go in reverse order from rank 11 to rank 1. This segment is actually gonna take a while, so why don't you go ahead and grab a snack and let's get ready to have a good time. Now, keep in mind that some of the training periods may be a little bit inaccurate because some of the members debuted in a separate group, I couldn't find the info, and after I.O.I disbands, some of them will be resuming their training period. So more time will be just added to their training periods anyway. And just a quick note before I get started here, I will be referring to I.O.I fans or the people who voted for I.O.I as national producers. Since we've never received an official fandom name, this is who I will be referring to them as. So without further ado, let's dive into this, shall we? Yoo Yeunjung is the main vocalist of I.O.I. Yeunjung was born on August 3rd, 1999 and trained for 1 year before debuting in I.O.I. She is from Starship Entertainment and received 136,780 votes from the national producers. Now, Yeunjung is considered by some national producers to be the second Hyorin because of her extremely stable and extensive vocal range. Unlike some of the Produce 101 contenders, Yeunjung is able to hold those notes to a more stable degree. Yeunjung is actually a member of Cosmic Girls, or WJSN, as their main vocal and maknae. Starship Entertainment added Yeunjung to WJSN a few months after I.O.I wrapped up their debut promotions. She was always planned to be in WJSN, but because of her debuting in I.O.I, this rose some complications with her company alongside the decision of whether Yeunjung would be able to fit with the image of Cosmic Girls or not. But it seems that Yeunjung fits both I.O.I and Cosmic Girls. Nayoung is the leader and main rapper of I.O.I. Nayoung was born on December 18th, 1995 and trained for 4 years before debuting in I.O.I. She is from Pledis Entertainment and received 138,726 votes from the national producers. From Produce 101, Nayoung was known for her nickname of Stone Nayoung or Stone Buddha. Now, why would this be someone's nickname? Because her facial expressions are like a statue. No matter what, her facial expressions don't change. But when her facial expressions do change, sorry guys, as you guys don't know, Nayoung is my bias wrecker of I.O.I for good reason too. So, let's just move on, shall we? Nayoung is a member of Pledis Girls, Pledis Entertainment's pre-debut girl group that's also participated in Produce 101. Their debut date is not known yet, but from what we've heard so far, they seem like a very promising girl group. Kang Mina is the lead dancer, lead rapper, and sub-vocalist of I.O.I. Mina was born on December 4th, 1999, and trained for 1 year before debuting in I.O.I. She is from Jellyfish Entertainment and received 173,762 votes from the national producers. Now, some people may consider Mina to be a pseudo-maknae because of her baby face and her innocent personality. While she is part of the maknae line, she is older than the official maknae, Somi. Mina loves eating food, and her love for eating food is it's quite adorable if you ask me. Mina is currently an active member of Gugudan, Jellyfish Entertainment's first girl group and VIX's sister group. She's in this group as a vocalist alongside Sejeong and another Produce 101 contender, Kim Nayoung. Not to be confused with Im Nayoung, who I just talked about previously. Kim Doyeon is the sub-vocal and visual of I.O.I. Doyeon was born on December 4th, 1999 and trained for a year and a half before debuting in I.O.I. And yes, she is birthday twins with Mina. What are the odds? Doyeon is from Fantagio Entertainment and received 200,069 votes from the national producers. Doyeon is one of the visuals in I.O.I, and she's often compared to the famous Jung Chaeyeon. In fact, her nickname is Little Jung Chaeyeon. I mean, the resemblance isn't really too far off here. Another interesting fact is that Doyeon used to be a cheerleader. She takes pride in this and performs an old routine she choreographed herself on variety shows. And Doyeon is one of those K-pop idols that look good no matter what they do.
You are my destiny. 그런 매력?
한번 찍어주셔야 돼요. 김면이 이제 망가졌네.
How? Jung Chaeyeon is the sub-vocal and visual of I.O.I. Chaeyeon was born on December 1st of 1997 and trained for 8 months before debuting in I.O.I. Chaeyeon is from MBK Entertainment and received 215,338 votes from the national producers. Now, before I.O.I, Chaeyeon was part of an existing girl group known as Daya. She, along with Kathy from Daya and Kim Danny, an MBK trainee, joined Produce 101 together. One can say that Chaeyeon is the princess of I.O.I because of how pure she appears and how she presents herself to the public. This performance right here epitomizes what I've just said. Pause this video and watch it for yourself. It's okay, I'll wait. Seriously, go ahead, I'll wait. Zhou Jieqiong is the lead vocalist, visual, and lead dancer of I.O.I. Jieqiong was born on December 16th of 1998 and trained for 5 years before debuting in I.O.I. She is from Pledis Entertainment and received 218,338 votes from the national producers. Now, she actually goes by a few other names, such as Pinky as her nickname, and her Chinese name, which I cannot pronounce. I refer to her as Jieqiong, but other people may refer to her as her other two names, but it's up to you to decide. As you can tell, Jieqiong is Chinese. Despite not being Korean, she actually speaks Korean very well according to her fellow members. Somi tells in an interview that Jieqiong says hard words like half asleep and resplendent in Korean. If she can learn Korean that fast, then so can I! Even though Jieqiong is labeled as a lead vocalist, she can actually hold some pretty powerful high notes.
You know you got me singing.
Bless. And like Nayoung, Jieqiong is actually part of Pledis Girls too. I seriously can't wait till Pledis Girls actually debuts. I mean, my bias wrecker and my first bias of I.O.I in a group together, just like, I can't wait! Kim Sohye is the sub-vocalist of I.O.I. Sohye was born on July 19th of 1999 and trained for 1 year before debuting in I.O.I. Sohye was originally under RedLine Entertainment, an acting agency, but is now under her own independent label known as SNP Entertainment, and received 229,732 votes from the national producers. Now, if it's one word that comes to mind when national producers think of Sohye, it is improvement. At the start of Produce 101, her performance was not the best. Not the... Okay, there is no way of sugarcoating this. It was bad. She covered Somehow by Daya and did not really do it justice. Because she is from an acting agency, she never had any experience in singing or dancing prior to the competition. And throughout Produce 101, Sohye had a very hard time keeping up with the dances. She just wasn't able to keep up. It wasn't until Sejeong was kind enough to lend her a helping hand. She helped her with everything in terms of performance. Singing, dancing, stage presence, Sejeong helped Sohye through it all. Along with this, Sohye also practiced a lot longer than all the trainees in order to improve and to survive. The national producers immediately saw how hard she worked and how much she improved, therefore immediately giving her more attention and more love. We can all relate to Sohye not being good at something, but with putting enough determination and enough effort, it'll pay off in the end just like it did for her. That's why people love Sohye so much. And she's just adorable! After debuting in I.O.I, she and her parents opened up a cafe in Seoul called Penguin Cafe and had her own fan meet there. Sohye's a real sweetheart, and I personally would get along with her the best if I were to meet I.O.I in person. Can we make that happen? We can, right? Please? Please? Kim Chungha is the main vocalist and lead dancer of I.O.I. Chungha was born on February 14th of 1996 and trained for 3 years before debuting in I.O.I. Chungha is from MNH Entertainment and received 403,633 votes from the national producers. Aside from Somi, Chungha is I.O.I.'s English speaker, and she is from the great state of Texas. God bless Texas. And Chungha is a dancing machine. She choreographed the renowned Bang Bang piece from Produce 101 and What a Man herself. This woman is amazing! Chungha also specializes in a dance style known as whacking. This is one of the many dance styles that I cannot do, but if you want to see a perfect example of this, go ahead and check out Chungha's performance along with Yoo Yeunjung and hit the stage right here. And speaking of Yoo Yeunjung, Choi Yoojung is the lead dancer, lead rapper, and lead vocalist of I.O.I. We got a triple threat over here! Yoo Yeunjung was born on November 12th of 1999 and trained for 4 years before debuting in I.O.I. Yoo Yeunjung is from Fantagio Entertainment and received 438,778 votes from the national producers. And she is my bias, and for good reason too! Call it the Jungkook effect or the Luhan effect. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, look at Jungkook from BTS. He can sing, he can rap, he can dance. Look at Luhan. He can sing, he can rap, and he can dance. And Yoo Yeunjung can sing, and rap, and dance. And she's adorable as fuck! Seriously, she can be both the most adorable girl in the world and the fiercest performer in existence. Those facial expressions get me every time. Yoo Yeunjung is the shortest member of I.O.I at 5'2", so you can probably find her the easiest out of all the members. Yoo Yeunjung is best friends with Doyeon and is often shipped with her. Since the two are both from Fantagio Entertainment, the two have known each other for a very long time. Yoo Yeunjung also tends to cry easily, and her members say that she breaks down the most in emotional situations. But this isn't really a bad thing, that just means she has a big heart. Kim Sejeong is the main vocalist of I.O.I. Sejeong was born on August 28th of 1996 and trained for a year before debuting in I.O.I. Sejeong is from Jellyfish Entertainment and received 525,352 votes from the national producers. Sejeong has a nickname of God Sejeong. Why? Because throughout Produce 101, she has been portrayed as the most nicest, the most generous, and the most kind-hearted trainee out of all 101 girls. Not once would she boast about herself, and she was just so nice to everyone. Sejeong is so modest and kind, it's hard to believe such a person exists. She's called God Sejeong for a reason. You can also tell Sejeong apart from the other members because of her signature eye smile. Just look at that! She epitomizes pretty! Sejeong is also a member of Jellyfish's Gugudan along with Mina as a main vocal. Because of her modesty and generosity, Sejeong has captivated the hearts of thousands of national producers out there. But in the end, she still came second in voting to this member. Jeon Somi is the center, lead vocalist, and magne of I.O.I. She was born on... And get this, March 9, 2001. 2001! Way to make me feel like a fossil, Somi. And Somi trained for 2 years before debuting in I.O.I. She is from JYP Entertainment and received 858,333 votes from the national producers. Now you may recognize Somi from Twice's survival show known as 16. She came really close to debuting with Twice, but was just short in the voting polls. Now when I say center, what do I mean? Center isn't really a term used in K-pop unless if it's like saying about center of dance formations, right? Well, in Produce 101, there is a position called center. This position is reserved for the trainee that is ranked number 1 out of all 101. This means that you get the literal center of the dance formations and all of the attention is directed towards you. And in result, you get more votes from the national producers since you have more attention on you. And this position alternated between Somi, Sejeong, and Yoojung, the top 3. Because Somi has remained on the top 3 throughout the entire show, she was given the nickname of Maknae on top. Get it? Cause she's the Maknae and she's on top of the pyramid. Okay, let's move on. You may notice that Somi looks a little bit more exotic than the other members. This is because Somi is actually half Dutch. Her dad is Dutch and her mother is Korean and was born and raised in Canada, so making her Dutch, Korean, Canadian. I apologize if I end up butchering her real name, but her full name is Enik Somi Duma, with Jun being her surname. And along with Chungha, Somi is I.O.I's English speaker. One fun fact is that Somi is very proficient in Taekwondo. She showed off this skill in 16 and in their final promotions. Somi is quite proud of this skill and she believes this to set her apart from all the other trainees. Now, if you haven't noticed already, I.O.I is an abbreviation. I.O.I stands for Ideal of Idol. Now hold on to your Rotten Tomatoes, let me explain. Now I.O.I was put together to be the representative girl group of Korea. And you know how us national producers voted for these members to be in I.O.I. Therefore, they are the ideal members to be idols of the national representative girl group. So Ideal of Idol. Makes sense now? On April 1st, 2016, the final episode of Produce 101 aired and their final performances were uploaded to Mnet Official's YouTube page. As stated earlier, the top 11 debuted to be in I.O.I. 22 trainees remained in the last episode, so only half of them were able to debut. As I said in the member profiles, Yeonjung, Nayoung, Mina, Doyeon, Chaeyeon, Kyokyung, Sohye, Chungha, Yoojung, Sejeong, and Somi were the top 11 who debuted to become I.O.I. Their debut song was known as Crush, an upbeat EDM track that was designated to be their final mission of Produce 101. They even released a music video for it 10 days later. It was a simple behind-the-scenes music video, which showed the girls in the process of recording the song and being their playful selves in the studio. With minimal makeup and editing, just the 11 girls we know and love having the time of their lives. However, this wasn't categorized as their official debut song. Even their iconic song that shook the nation, known as Pick Me, wasn't considered their debut song either. Oh no, here we go, it's just like EXO all over again, isn't it? Well, yes and no. Us national producers don't really know why Crush wasn't their official debut song. Crush was a very solid song, so we don't know why this wasn't the set song marking their debut into the K-pop world. On May 3rd of 2016, I.O.I released their official debut song of Dream Girls. The song was bright and upbeat with a message of overcoming obstacles of life, being yourself and chasing your dreams, just like how they did on Produce 101. In the music video, each member has a certain character to play. Somi was a rock climber, Sejeong was a track athlete, Chungha was a dancer, unsurprisingly, Chaeyeon was a baker, Mina was a store clerk, Sohye was a student, Kyokyung was a ballerina, Yoojung was a rhythm gymnast, Doyeon was a tennis player, Yeonjung was a fashion designer, and Nayoung was a fencer. Throughout the music video, it shows the members cutely failing in their respective hobbies, but gradually improving. It was a really cute music video, but people still preferred Crush over this official debut song. Now, after Dreamgirls promotions, I.O.I went on a short hiatus. 3 months later, the Dreamgirls came back, but this time as a unit of 7 members. This unit consisted of Somi, Yoojung, Chungha, Sohye, Kyokyung, Doyeon, and Nayoung. The other 4 members of Chaeyeon, Sejeong, Mina, and Yeonjung all went back to their respective entertainment companies to promote in their own permanent girl groups. These are Dayagugudan and WJSN or Cosmic Girls respectively. Now, to clear up any foggy ground out there, Chaeyeon, Sejeong, Mina, and Yeonjung did not leave I.O.I. Because they were promoting as a unit, These four simply returned to their home companies to continue on their training period, while still keeping the I.O.I name. On August 8th of 2016, I.O.I released What a Man as 7 members. Now for some of you music majors out there, you may recognize this tune somewhere. That's because What a Man is actually a remake of an older song from the 60s. This old humble classic came from Linda Lindell in 1968, and I.O.I's version takes a powerful rock take on it.
What a man, what a man, what a man, what a mighty good man. What a man, what a man, what a man, what a mighty good man.
This music video took the girls' image as bright, fun-loving dream girls and makes a huge 180. Like, a huge 180. Chungha actually choreographed this entire piece by herself. She said in the behind the scenes that she wanted What a Man to have a similar concept to their hit Bang Bang performance from Produce 101. She has seriously outdone herself with this choreography, and the music video, unlike Dreamgirls, actually has a storyline. Yoojung is the main character of this music video, with her having a neglectful boyfriend. The I.O.I members take notice of this and help her become a stronger, independent young woman. You go, Yoojung, you get it, girl. You're a strong, independent Korean woman who don't need no man. If you want to see me hopelessly break down while watching this music video, go ahead and check out my reaction over here. 2 months later, I.O.I released their final comeback of Very 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 on October 16th, 2016. And the song was produced by none other than Mr. JYP himself. It's kind of weird hearing JYP's voice in a non-JYP group song, right? But nonetheless, it was a very catchy song. The music video was rather poppy, colorful, but yet random. Now, when you watch this video, what other group comes to mind? What other group does this music video remind you of? If you said Red Velvet, you are not alone. This music video actually sparked some controversy because there were many similarities between Very 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 and Russian Roulette. Very 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 was released shortly after Russian Roulette did, so the memories were still fresh in our heads. People say that the directors of both music videos were the same person, but I couldn't find any evidence supporting this claim. But just because one group does a certain concept doesn't mean that they own it. I'll leave the verdict up to you guys. But putting less favorable issues aside, the music video included all 11 of the I.O.I girls in a brightly colored set, but something was a bit off. It seemed to have taken place in an upside-down basketball gym. In fact, a large majority of the music video's colorful sets were either upside down or gradually tilting. The yellow hallways, the locker rooms, the cafeteria. The music video was quite odd, but cute. Till today, their most recent music video of Very 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 is by far their most popular comeback with 26 million views, mostly due to the fact that this is I.O.I's last comeback before their inevitable disbandment. People have differing opinions about I.O.I, but nothing can deny the fact of how much the national producers love these girls. One of the biggest reasons that people didn't like Produce 101 or I.O.I to begin with is because they have to disband in 1 year. They only have 1 year of promotions. People don't want to become attached to a group that's not gonna last. However, that didn't stop national producers like me from loving them. These 11 girls have personally played a huge role in my life in 2016. Now, I'll be honest here, when I first heard of Produce 101, I honestly hated it. I hated the idea of bringing 101 trainees from different entertainment companies. I was extremely skeptical about how it was going to be organized. I honestly thought it was going to be a flop after listening to Pick Me for the first time. But I am so glad they proved me wrong. They taught me how to give things a chance, to not judge things so quickly, and most importantly, to come to terms with goodbyes. They're all so lovable in their own way, and I couldn't have picked a better team to be I.O.I. Sure, people disagree with the lineup. Sure, people disagree with their concept. Sure, people disagree with the program that birthed their name. But in the end, I.O.I's success is undeniable. They captivated the hearts of millions out there and showed that they deserve to be an I.O.I. National producers supported them through thick and thin, and even when they disband, will continue to support them in the girl groups they will debut in permanently. Sejeong and Mina and Gugudan, Chaeyeon and Daya, Yeonjung of Cosmic Girls, Nayoung and Kyeokyung of Pledis Girls, and all the rest to come. Now, even in a more serious tone, next year or even next month, I.O.I will be no more. It'll be very heart-wrenching to see the articles I.O.I officially disbands. It's gonna hurt so much to experience one of my favorite groups disbanding, but eventually we will all have to accept it. So with that, I.O.I, thank you for everything that you've done. Thank you for making such wonderful music for us. Thank you for making 2016 a better year for me and all the national producers out there. Thank you for making us laugh on the darkest of days. Thank you for helping us smile when the world makes us sad. Thank you for being the beautiful women that you are today. And thank you for being our I.O.I, our ideal of idol. And with that, guys, you know just a little bit more about K-pop culture. Hey everyone, I hope you all enjoyed this episode of K-Pop University. As you know, this was the end of the year special, and I wanted to give I.O.I a special send-off before they disband. So in result of that, guys, I will be heavily moderating the comments section, as this is a sensitive topic for national producers. Believe it or not, there were petitions going around to prevent I.O.I from disbanding, but even if the petition were to go through, we can't keep I.O.I together forever. The girls are from all different entertainment companies, and it'll be really hard to keep them all together and coordinating schedules and whatnot. But regardless, guys, I wanted to dedicate this video to I.O.I to commemorate them for all their successes they've had throughout this entire year. From their successful chart toppers from being the Rookie of the Year in Mama. Now, I.O.I did promise to have a reunion in 5 years. So, in 2021, if that does happen, if I.O.I does make a reunion, come back to this video and reminisce the good old times with me. And let's watch that reunion stage together. But yes, guys, if you enjoyed this episode of K-Pop University, please leave a big like, and leave a suggestion in the comment section down below of what groups you guys want me to cover in a future episode of K-Pop University. Also, if you know someone who loves I.O.I just as much as we do, please go ahead and share this video with them. And with that, guys, that's my time. My name is Nathan, SYJ Official. Until then, see you guys next time, and everyone have a happy new year. Bye.